Hey, welcome to the Type 2 Diabetes Brotherhood, my friends. I'm trying a different camera angle because yesterday sucked. But I want to talk about getting your head straight and how exactly to do that today. And this might be a little bit of a strange one, but this is inspired by David Goggins. When I first saw him, I was like, dude, that's my dude right there. I'm not quite as extreme as he is, but I'm pretty damn there. And one of the things I want to talk about why I chose David Goggins for this particular um, presentation, this talk, is that David Goggins was a fat fuck and he had to really work his ass off to figure out how to lose weight. He wanted to join the military. They wouldn't accept him in because of his weight. And one of the things that David Goggins that got me about him was that the fact that he just studied so hard of his own will, his own mind, his willpower, his drive. And that's kind of where I think he's coming from. A lot of people don't get him, they don't understand him. I'm not saying that I understand him completely either, but this motherfucker was hardcore and he did some amazing shit and continues to do amazing things even at his older age. And it's the key, and the reason this coincides with type 2 diabetes is that you're doing a whole lifestyle change. You're changing your whole entire life. So this is the food that you eat, the exercise, the activity that you do, even in social situations, right? There's not just, I think this even elevates into spirituality, I would say, like, because you can imagine if you did a whole entire life makeover, take all the food you've been eating, let's redo that, right? Let's take all the energy you've been spending throughout your day, let's redo that. We got to add a whole bunch of new shit. That's a pretty fucking huge thing that you'll need to do. And in order to accomplish that and to successfully beat type 2 diabetes, you almost have to go Goggins on it. So, how do you do that? You know, I think I've clarified why. The why is because you have to, right? If you keep going the road that you're on, you're going to get sicker. You're going to be on more meds. And a lot of guys are probably not going to listen because a lot of guys don't really give a shit about their health until it's too late or they're just really fucking suffering, right? But the why is the fucking food. This is not a dietary. I'm sorry. This is not a life sentence as the healthcare providers and mainstream treatments say it is. How could that be so? Because if you do your math and you do your homework and you look throughout history, we didn't have nearly as many diabetics as we do now from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. It wasn't until they introduced a low-fat diet and changed a lot of the food pyramid and stuff around that actually we've gone from, I think it was in 2010. I know from 1980s to 2011, I think it was, diabetes has quadrupled. I was doing some math and searching some things out, and the projections are that in 2010 there has been approximately 21 million diabetics. That's just in the United States alone. We're not even talking about the rest of the world. 21 million. The projection, if we keep going on the road that we're going now, we probably can expect to hit around 39.7 million by the end of 2025 is what the projections are saying. Who knows if that's accurate or not, but I believe it. It seems like every day I meet somebody new who's like, oh yeah, they see my continuous glucose monitor on my arm and they're like, oh, diabetic, huh? Like, yeah, I just got diagnosed too. I just got diagnosed too. I just got diagnosed too. Another one, another one, another one, right? So if you don't do anything about it, right, and you don't see that it's the food and that it can be reversible, guys, I did it. I did it myself. I got to be careful with my words so I don't get a strike here. But I can't say things like proof and things like that. But if you watch my continuous glucose monitor in the interface, right? Let me just show you guys right now what's going on this morning. I play around with my blood sugars all the time. And right now, this morning, I'm at 94 milligrams per deciliter, right? I woke up with even better blood sugars than I did yesterday. I think I got up at like 7 a.m. I really slept in today. Yeah, I woke up with 82 milligrams per deciliter. So the point I want to make is first I got to gain your trust so that I know what I'm talking about. And guys, it's through intermittent fasting, it's through changing your lifestyle that this disease can be cured. I don't know, I can't say cured. I retract that back. And guys, I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. If you are a type 2 diabetic, you should consult your doctor. I don't know how to say it, guys. Watch the channel every day. There's nowhere for me to hide. There's nowhere for me to lie. There's no reason for me to lie. The whole purpose I'm here. Do you think I would want to be here just to be here? No, I've done something miraculous, something that was told that cannot be done. And I did it using a continuous glucose monitor and using my time to research, to figure out what works. There's a lot of good shit out there. There's a lot of bad shit out there. I'm very untrusting, so I have to try everything out for myself. And I've been at this for over a year and a half. But one of the biggest things, I want to bring it back to the Goggin things, is that in order for you to do that, you have to get your head straight. And what do I mean by that? So you're going to have that voice in your head saying, I still want to have a beer. I still have it a year and a half later. I'm like, I want to drink some alcohol, right? A beer. Nobody loves beer more than I did. I still do. If there was no health risks for it, I'd fucking drink it right now. Like, I'd drink a whole fucking 12-pack to my head, right? Honestly, I don't even care about the hangover too much, right? I don't miss having hangovers. In fact, I don't miss feeling like shit too. I feel fucking wonderful. But I would even sacrifice that every once in a while. If I can have self-control, I would drink fucking beer knowing that if it didn't raise my blood sugars and cause so much damage to my liver, right, and my body in general. But that's never going to happen because I know what it is. It's fucking poison, right? But no, I just want to make the point. I love it. But that I was just thinking to go camping at the beach and take some time off. I'm experiencing burnout. I'm fucking tired. I'm getting, a little aggravated, getting violent thoughts, in my mind. Like somebody cut me off. I'm like, I want to, I think you know what I'm going with it. I'm like, you need to chill the fuck out. And I'm like, what sounds so good is go light a campfire, watch the waves and the sunset go down and have a couple or maybe a bunch of ice cold beers if I could have it my way. This is just dreaming. And I was like, fuck, I can't have the beer anymore. So I just have to sit there and maybe drink a fucking cucumber lime mint drink, which is fine with no alcohol in it. It's okay, but it's not a fucking beer. But I got my head straight. And it's continually, a year and a half later, I'm still craving beer. I'm still craving alcohol, But I know where that leads. But I had to make a pact in my head. And I think like David Goggins, you have to pay attention to that dialogue of what's going on. Who's in control here? It's almost like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You start to get going and you're like, I want to make a difference. I want to beat type 2 diabetes. I want to lose weight. Look at almost anything physical, like health driven that you've ever wanted to do, right? And when you quit drinking, quit eating sugars, quit eating carbs, don't eat the pizza and stuff like that, and people are eating it right in front of you, that dialogue in your head is like, you don't deserve to live like this. Life is short, right? Life is real short. Why don't you have a good time, right? Lo and behold, we used to say this when I was in my 20s, die young, just go for it. Just go balls to the fucking wall because one day you'll probably die. Well, I'm almost 50. I'm still fucking here. So that doesn't really work out. So I've had to get in the dialogue of my own mind to figure out, well, what do I want to do? This may seem sadistic and kind of horrible, but some of the times when I think about, well, why don't you go have that beer? Why don't you have that piece of cake? Why don't you have a candy bar or something, right? I'm not really too much into candy bars, never have been, but just saying here, like a slice of pizza, right? Because then I just start thinking about my family members who have passed away from type 2 diabetes. I start thinking about dialysis. If you don't know what that is, that's basically, which could happen from certain medications and things like that where your kidneys give out. And they basically have to put a needle somewhere in your body to pull all your blood out and send it through a filtration system. It looks like a reverse osmosis for water. They got to get all the heavy particles and the shit out because your kidneys can't do this anymore. And then it gets recycled back in through another vein. And they do this sometimes, believe it or not, 3 times a week. Just do yourself a favor and watch a YouTube video. I know it sounds sadistic, but watch a YouTube video on what somebody on dialysis has to say about it. Do you think that can happen to you? Right? Or like my cousin having both his big toes having to be removed from gangrene from type 2 diabetes, who kept just drinking alcohol, drinking beer like nobody's business and shooting himself full of insulin. I think about losing body parts. I think about having a stroke, a heart attack. I think about leaving my kids behind because I died early when I could have lived a lot longer. I think about how I used to feel at 230 pounds. Now I'm 185 and I'm gaining muscle. The energy that I feel. I think about that. But you have that dual personality that's going to come out. And in order for you to make it, you have to fucking deal with it. I don't know how to explain this. Let me try to word this as having a meeting with yourself is probably really, really great to start journaling. When you're going through something hard, right? When you're going through addiction to food, if you don't think that food is addictive, I don't know what to tell you. I can't fucking help you. You need to go to some other channel, right? But if you're going through an addiction with alcohol, food, sugar, things like that, what you need to do is either write these things down, but mostly be aware of where this dialogue is coming from and what it's saying. When I was going through probably 6 months, I don't even know, probably like 6 to 9 months later, it really hit me going to family gatherings and parties and stuff and watching people eat birthday cake and shit. And I was like, man, what the fuck is my life even worth anymore? Like, all the things that I love to do, drinking beer, sometimes I love getting wasted. I didn't like getting like puke wasted. I just love having a heavy buzz. You know, who doesn't? Right? And I'm like, you'll never be able to eat birthday cake again, which is untrue. I can if I want. I just choose not to. But it's very, why would you shoot up heroin for fucking, years and then go, well, for my birthday, I'm going to shoot up some heroin, right? It's not quite that bad, but it's pretty similar to where you can just fall off the wagon and get right back to sugar. But point making is that whole life is gone. That's the old me. And now what fun do I have? I'm just sitting around making fucking videos, doing push-ups, walks, researching. And I felt like the dialogue in my head was saying I didn't have a life anymore. And I actually didn't want to even be here anymore. I started to go through full depression. I think this was the detox of the sugars, right? You guys got to understand, like sugars, alcohol, all those release endorphins in your mind. This gives you pleasure. And when you take those away and you don't have the pleasure anymore, you're going to suffer because living normal is right here in the middle, right? And when you eat sugar, you drink beer, you're up here, you're up high. And then the crash comes and then you're down low, right? But that high feels really fucking good. Then the crash comes and you want to be high again, so you have more of whatever the substance you wanted. You're never stuck here in the center. And being here in the center is just the quiet zone. There's nobody to deal with but yourself, right? It's just quiet. There's no upper, there's no endorphins, there's no lows. It's just this monotone, even, sustainable fucking line that you have to get used to living in, right? So I started to listen to the dialogue in my head and writing things down sometimes, but mostly being aware, conscious of what are the mind verbiage that's coming out of my mind telling me these things. And I was like, it was a whole nother fucking person. Basically not even wanting to be here anymore, that I had no life because of alcohol, sugar, pizza, food, basically, and stimulation. That defined me as a person. And I had to look at myself and say, what a fucking pussy. Holy fucking shit. That shit defines you as a human being. And now that you don't have them, you have no purpose, you have no joy in your life. That's pretty fucking sad. So I looked and I says, well, let's look at the opposite. What are other things that I have that I enjoy, that I'm good at, that give me endorphins? I love fishing. I love surfing. I used to skate and snowboard, and I did a few of those things here and there on my off time. But I enjoy actually doing push-ups. My mind has shifted now from drinking and hanging out, talking shit all night, to let's see how many push-ups I could do in a day. Let's see how toned I can get. Let's see how much fat I can lose. I want to see for myself how good I can actually look. Can I get like a six-pack abs back again? Can I have that energy, What are the things that I can accomplish beyond food, alcohol, stimulation? But it took a real long time for me to sit down with myself, and continues to get that straight. So you have to be cognizant, you have to be aware of that Jekyll and that Hyde, and maybe understand that you've been living probably multiple personalities, and these personalities are going to show up. And that's when you need to get Goggins on that shit. You need to ask yourself, do I want to man up? Do I want to understand that a lot of these aren't me? These are just alter egos or alter characters in my life. And that maybe, just like people say, why would somebody beat somebody up, right? Especially women. I think it's fucking horrible. They get drunk. They say they don't even know what they're doing because that alcohol fucked with their head, with their mentals, and made them do shit they normally wouldn't fucking do. On most cases, I know that's debatable. But that's like the same thing without you drinking, without you on medications, drugs, sugar, foods, all this. That's what's happening in your mind. There's these alter people that you've buried inside that you're going to have to fucking deal with. In order to make it through, that's what we're going to have to accept. So diary and writing things down if you have to, because sometimes there's so many of the voices going through your head, right? And that you forget why you're doing things. I think it's, well, I don't want to go into detail, but there's certain religious sectors that say, give us a child from 7 to 11 years old, I think it was, and we'll turn them into what we want them forever. They know that developing stage is from 7 years old to 11 years old on average. If they pretty much feed a person mentally this information, it will stick with them. It'll be buried, which is called the subconscious mind. The subconscious. Imagine this like a floor, right? They have a floor in a building. You have a floor, and then you have a subfloor. The subfloor is like the rafters and the plywood, basically the wood on top. The flooring is actually the flooring carpet or something like that. So underneath that carpet, underneath that linoleum or tile flooring, there's a subfloor. That's what you have, is a subconscious, a couple of them. And you're going to have to deal with them. I think it's a very stressful situation, maybe a lot of breath work to relieve the stress, but a big acknowledgement of, this is not fucking me. This is something that I've created. This is not my voice. This is not something that I fucking want. You can reason with it all. When you write it down, yeah, I want fucking sugar. I want a fucking beer. I'm sick of this shit. I'm pissed off and I'm fucking aggravated, and a beer's going to make me feel fucking better. And then reason with that. Pros and cons. Well, I can, but then I'm running away from my problems, and sure, it is going to make me feel great, but does it solve the fucking problem? Right? I'm angry right now. Shit's fucked up on my job or my work or what. Instead of fixing the problem so you never have to deal with it again, stop burying it and listening to that subconscious mind and see if it even makes sense. I think is the biggest powerful thing I can say. Do a pros and cons. Okay, so I drink tonight and I'll drink this whole week because I deserve it. That's the pro. It'll make me feel great. I'll forget all my problems. It'll alleviate stress. It'll do all kinds of things. I'll probably even sleep better. I'll be in a better mood. Cons. Problem's still going to be there. Cons. This leads to higher dosages of medications and higher effects of high blood sugars, which could return to amputations, dialysis, heart attack, stroke. Which one pays off more? That's a choice you're going to have to make for yourself. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to think a lot about it. I'm very interested in what you guys think about this subject matter. This is the fucking annoying one that nobody wants to talk about, right? Because it's like, this is where you have to face yourself. And this is what hardly anybody wants to do. I don't think anybody wants to even tell you these type of things. They'd rather put you on supplements and drugs, medications. And if that's the type of person you are, and if anything I just said doesn't make sense, you need to unsubscribe and leave this fucking channel and go back to the rat race matrix. Go take your medications, go take the supplements, go believe what everybody else is talking about. Don't come to someone like me who's going to tell you this right off the bat. If you came to me and asked me for help, this is part of a conversation. The very first thing before we started dieting or anything, I would share this information with you because this is the tool that's going to help you get through all of this shit. You can't hide everything with supplements, right? You can't just go and eat a fucking slice of pizza like these and buy these other content creators fucking supplements, which they'll work. They'll have 30 to 40% reduction in the blood sugar spike. But where does the sugar go when you eat that slice of pizza or that donut, right? It fucking makes me sick to my goddamn stomach. The sugar it just gets diverted. Even with certain medications like metformin, it doesn't evaporate the sugar into thin air. It just starts storing it in your body in different areas. And you'll see results, right? You'll eat that piece of pizza. You'll take apple cider vinegar and some pills or some medications. You'll see the blood sugars lower for a while. But what's going to happen, it's just like sweeping the junk under the carpets of your house. Every time you do this, more and more junk accumulates under the carpets until your house starts to get so filthy it starts to stink. And that's what's going to happen to your body. The sugar in your body is going to start rotting your eyes, rotting your hearts, your arteries. And it will. In time, that's why anybody who's taking medications or taking supplements and they keep with the same lifestyle, they're just going to have to keep upping the dosage, try new medications and more stuff, right? They're never fixing the root problem. And that's exactly the case. If you don't get your head straight, you're not going to make it. Because my way is all natural. My way is the fucking hard way. My way is the fucking Spartan way. It's the way if somebody really gives a shit about themselves and they want this sustainable long term, not short term, long term. Somebody who's smart enough to get it. You know, if you think I'm full of shit, go take a look at guys who are on metformin. I want you to take a look at guys who've been on it for 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 years. Ask me, has anybody reversed type 2 diabetes? And do they look like the person you want to be? Right? Or do you want to lose weight, fucking man up, be in charge of your life, have wonderful energy, and live your life without medications or supplements? Right? Do you want to live with the truth, or do you want to live a fucking lie? Is the way I look at it. I don't know any other way to say it. I mean, that probably sounds harsh, but I don't know. Prove me that I'm wrong. Right? Because all we're doing is dancing around the fucking problem. Let's jump in there and fucking nail that motherfucker. Let's get rid of type 2 diabetes for good, forever. But that takes you marrying yourself. For you to deal with that bitch voice in your head. Just like David Goggins says. Don't mean that's gender specific. But listen to that fucking dialogue that just keeps rolling in about all this shit. What will people think of me? Who gives a fuck what people think about you? One of the most things that makes me sick is a lot of ethnic people who go to certain family events. They're like, yeah, I don't want to disrespect my family by not eating the food, you know, rice and stuffing and mashed potatoes and shit like that. And I'm like, if your family truly loved you and you were diabetic, would your family rather have you, would they rather you disrespect them by not eating the food, which I don't think is disrespect, right? And have a toe chopped off or have on dialysis, or would they rather live with you and have multiple gatherings with you knowing that you can't eat this food and maybe you bring your own shit like I do, right? Or maybe you eat only the healthy stuff, right? None of this fucking makes sense. It's all fucking backwards. And it's up to you what you're going to do with yourself. That's the pact I made with myself, and I'm here to help. So probably not the most sexiest. I know it's not the most sexiest way to do it, but in the long run, it's easier because you either pay now or you pay fucking later. All right, you're going to pay for the medications. You're going to, with your health or with money, you're buying yourself time, and that's all it is you're borrowing time. You just bought time, right? And time doesn't give a fuck about us. In time, you're going to self-destruct. It's going to end. It's not sustainable. Do the work in now, and it doesn't have to be so miserable. You guys, I make desserts and all kinds of shit, right? Yummy. For instance, it's going to be Labor Day or Memorial. I can't even remember. But I'm getting myself some beef ribs, big old fat fuckers. I'm going to smoke those. We're going to have creamy garlic shrimp. I'm going to probably make some avocado chocolate donuts, maybe a pumpkin mousse chocolate cake of some sort. All of this shit, which spikes my blood sugars minimal. I'm going to have some mixed drinks with no alcohol. Maybe a diet soda or something. You can mess around. You can have a good time. It doesn't have to be all dark and dismal. But you got to have control. And I think once you get that control, it's over. Nobody can tell you what the fuck to do. Because you fucking know. It's not anybody telling you what to do. You know. You now know who you are, what you need to do about it, how to keep it sustainable, and how to manage this whole fucking clown circus. That's really, everyone likes to point outwards. It's the food industry, the gas companies, the oil companies, the government, the doctors. No, it's fucking us. It's us who allowed ourselves to be deceived. Now that shit ends here. It ends today. And it ends with you if you so choose to do so. Welcome to the Type 2 Diabetes Brotherhood, my brothers. This ain't no fucking bullshit. This ain't no rehearsal. Life's short. Let's fucking make this shit happen. Let me show you my blood sugars for all day today. All right, so here's those blood sugars for May 23rd. And I just want to point out the guys that I woke up this morning with 82 milligrams per deciliter. That is the best blood sugars I've had. Where'd we go? To 7. Actually, hit the button right there. 82 milligrams per deciliter. That's the best blood sugars I've had in this whole entire month, ever since I've induced myself with extra food and carbs to get my blood sugars up high, and the fasting has definitely worked out. In fact, let's take a look at last night's. Last night's blood sugar started off, I went to bed at around 10 a.m., or I'm sorry, about 10 p.m. and kind of went through the roll here where it kind of went up a little bit higher, hit 100, Looks like the highest was about 103, but then it just took a nice, good, sharp turn, and that's when my body pretty much digested all the sugars that I ate. And then over the night was into the 80s to 90s. But let's go over to the food I ate today. I broke my fast with a sparkling lemon water. And as you can see, it didn't really have much to do with my blood sugars. I did get a rise, but I think that's the dawn phenomenon right there, which actually just went up to 103 before it came back down. But right here is where I had this was delicious too, my brothers. This was a smoked tri-tip with eggs, mayonnaise, salt and pepper, and tomato. It was basically like a tri-tip sandwich, but in a bowl. And as you guys can see here, it didn't do much to my blood sugars at all either. This was a 30-gram protein shake I had. Normally I like to eat at 9, but shit got fucked up today, and you know, I had to do what I had to do. So I actually had my breakfast at 9:30, and then I try to eat within a 1 hour period. So about 10:30, I had my protein shake, and that kind of bumped things up for a little bit here. As you guys can see, not much, but it did wear down. I got to working today and did some physical labor, and that actually kept me sustained pretty well, below 100 almost the entire day. For some reason here, when I got home, blood sugars dipped up a little bit, not very much, but soon came right back down. Maybe the anticipation of eating food. I had another sparkling water right here with lemon in it, and as you can see, no real big effects. I also had another protein shake today. That was 30 grams of protein. That didn't really do much either till about, I'm going to say this is like my sweet spot. Like usually it takes about, I'm going to say half an hour or so. This in about 20 minutes, about a half hour, it gave me a little bit of a bump, but came right back down. Here I had some filet mignon for dinner. It is Memorial Day weekend, and I was supposed to fast today, but when I saw that filet mignon, I'm like, I got to eat that. I also chased it with a, for dessert, I had a root beer Zevia soda. So that's a 0 calorie, 0 sugar. It's sweetened with stevia. It's a creamy root beer, one of my favorites. And that also didn't do much to my blood sugars. And then I went for a walk, my 30-minute cardio. I just try to get the cardio in every single day. So blood sugar did, all the food I ate kind of went up, kind of went down. And this is about 3 hours later, guys, and I'm at 98 milligrams per deciliter. So that's today's blood sugars. And I thought of something today, after I recorded the first part of this video. And one of the things I wanted to tell you guys was to manage, your subconscious mind. And one of the things that I do, I was telling you guys to write stuff down. One of the things that I do is if you're having a lot of trouble with psychological problems as far as quitting sugars, quitting alcohol, depression, anxiety, fear, anger, whatever, I have this little trick that I play where you get a pen and paper and just keep asking yourself this question. Ask yourself, what would one need to believe in order to experience fill in the blank, fear, anxiety, cravings, whatever have you. And keep doing this. And what you're going to find is that this is the subconscious. This is you getting to know yourself, right? Some of you may not need to do this. For me, most of the time, I record everything that happens in my head because I'm a fucking nutso, right? Every dialogue I have, I've been doing this so long, I can understand, like, where's these cravings coming from? For instance, sometimes I get hungry and I have to check myself and feel myself. And most of the time, it's just boredom. I'll take a little shot of water and the hunger goes away and I'm fine, right? But there's still a lot of psychological stuff you're changing your entire life around. So you need to get to know yourself in order to sustain and be able to deal with what life's going to throw at you. Because it's like the Matrix. You've taken the blue pill, right? You didn't take the red pill and go back to sleep. You woke up. You're waking up and you're seeing around you that we have a problem with our food. We have a problem with our lifestyle design, and we need to redesign our lives. But that comes with the complications of going against the grain and things like that. So mostly, this is going to be the problem you have with yourself. So by writing this down, what would one need to believe in order to experience the blank? Keep doing this over and over again. And what you're going to find is, like I said, it's almost like you're 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 different people. But you're going to find that dialogue is really just your inner self. It's a lot of things that have been ingrained in us since the beginning, since we were children, Like the thought today was giving your kid a treat, right? Or giving your dog a treat, Does your dog really need the treat? Does your kid need the treat? Or does your dog and your kid really just want to be loved by you, right? They want to be seen. They want to be appreciated. They need affection. They like that way better than treats. I've tested this out myself, but it's just one of those weird things that we feel like we need to give kids treats all the time. We also got to give ourselves treats all the time. Where did this stuff come from? From commercials, McDonald's, fast food industries, the food industry in general. All of these things are encoded, hidden in the subconscious. And that's what we need to find. We need to get in tune with the inner voices and this dialogue. There's this whole war going on inside of us. And it doesn't matter what anybody tells you or try to help you. If you can't help yourself, nobody could help you. But this is the way you're going to get in touch with yourself, to figure out what's going on and to basically familiarize yourself with yourself. And I guarantee you, my brothers, you're going to grow into a more powerful, more loving, more intellectual, intelligent person by doing all this. This emotional intelligence comes with all of this. Once you know yourself, you're unstoppable. That's what I want for you guys. And if you guys have appreciated this, subscribe and comment. Help me get this show to 50 subscribers so I can go live and answer any questions that you guys have. Also, in the link in the description, guys, there's a whole bunch of goodies in there for you. You can book a call with me. The first person that books a call with me is going to get a free CGM, a free continuous glucose monitor. As you guys just saw the interface, I'm going to buy one of you guys a continuous glucose monitor, and I want to work with you for 90 days. I want to see what I'm capable of doing to help you get through this circus bullshit show. In exchange, I want to get a testimonial from you. It would be nice to get a before and after photo, because we're going to make you look sleek. Man, you're going to be a badass motherfucker by the time you get done. Guys, I lost just under 50 pounds. This is what I look like now. I've almost got a six-pack abs. I'm gaining some muscle. I lost weight. I have tons of energy. And that's what I want for you guys. And it's all free. There's no gimmicks. In fact, I'm going to pay for a 90-day subscription of a continuous glucose monitor for you. So sign up. It's in the description below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.